Welcome to SRPG Plus. It is Diesel D.
And Kappa Kai.
Today we're going to give out a podcast, a plus-minus podcast, recent news that's been going on over the week for video games in general. A lot of stuff's been going on. A lot of people running to the gun. Everyone's trying to get, it seems like everyone's trying to just put stuff out there before E3, before that, while this hype is still around. And it's so funny to see what was happening. Even though this week, man, Gearbox, bro. So funny.
Yeah, let's start with that. Gearbox, they had their announcement, and they announced Borderlands 3, which everybody was expecting, so that's good that they finally announced it. They did not announce a release date, or a price, or systems, or anything. Well, price doesn't really matter, it's going to be $60, but, they didn't announce platforms, and their live stream was so bad. I watched it live because I was just at work. I just wanted something to listen to while I was crunching some numbers. And I put it on, and whenever they started the announcement for Borderlands 3, the live stream kept lagging at PAX, and then it kept restarting. It was wild.
At least they weren't showing off a streaming system there. That's for sure. But for real, man, Borderlands 3, dope. Get it. I like the games. I think they're cool. I bought Borderlands 1 when it first came out. I was highly disappointed because I didn't have people to play with. But Borderlands 2, that game has just so much content, so much, of that, just a regular MMO grindy feel where you can do it with your friends, sort of like Monster Hunter, but with guns. So, I like first-person shooters. I think that game is super cool. Seeing Borderlands 3 is super dope. Seeing a remaster of Borderlands 1 and 2 is something I've already seen. So I don't know how I was supposed to be excited about it. Cool, I get it. Borderlands 1 isn't that good. And they finally made it so you can play, with online or 4-player split
and
screen.
VR.
And all this different stuff. It seems like a good game to have in VR, honestly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, especially with that art style.
Yeah, and I feel like there isn't a lot of shooters in VR, especially ones that have damage counters and RPG styles to them, things like that. But man, it's not even coming to the Switch. Why make a new... they've already made packs where they came out with Borderlands 1, 2, the Handsome Jack collection all together on PlayStation, on PS4, on Xbox, on PC, all that stuff. But they still would rather just make a remaster and then not even put it on the Switch. Makes no sense to me. But they're putting Bulletstorm on the Switch, so if you want to play that, that's...
Hey, at least that's some Switch support, though. Some people... What is Bullets? What is that, though? Is that just a shooter? Because people want
Overwatch.
Shooters on... That's good.
Yeah.
People want that on the Switch. People are playing Paladins. That's wild.
That is wild.
Yeah, Gearbox, the announcements were okay. It was what we were expecting. It was good that it actually came, and they showed it. Just the presentation was sloppy, and it really shows why people are starting to move to directs, like Nintendo has been, now that Xbox is doing, and Sony is now doing. Yeah, that live stream is kind of whack.
I mean, the stuff that we've been seeing, come on, that PlayStation Direct, man, that wasn't nothing. And then with the...
But it didn't lag.
Yeah, that's true.
It didn't lag, that's all I'm saying.
That's true. And then...
Because I'm just saying the format itself was good. The games were bad.
Have we already talked about the Atlas announcement for an announcement? With the Persona?
Oh, we could bring it up, because that kind of recently happened, and Sega Fez just happened, and we didn't hear anything from Atlas, really, about SMT5 or more Persona stuff, so yeah, I guess we could.
It's insane, man. The way that just they're showing off the games is just so... They're just adding so much hype, but not really. They're losing hype because of them making all of these announcement trailers, making all of this stuff. They just released another announcement trailer for PQ2.
Yep.
We already know about this game. We already know it's coming out. We've already seen what it looks like. There's no reason to keep giving us all of this teaser stuff, all these trailers. I get it. It's you want to make it into a franchise where people recognize those characters, but I feel at this point in time the game is not even showing up. They're just making all these animated cutscenes and all these different promotions for the games and not showing up with the games.
And I just want to address the point you made about it being brand recognizable, because that's definitely what Sega does all the time, and they do it in such a bad way that's so trash. If you want people to know about Persona, why don't you put it on more platforms? Like, how is that hard to understand? Do you want people to play Shin Megami Tensei 5? We'll show something about it. It was announced 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was announced when the Switch, released. Like, what's going on? And people are just wondering what's going on with SMT5. People keep getting trolled on the subreddit by people posting fake release trailers because there aren't any trailers out for it. And people are thinking Yokai Watch 4 is SMT5. Like, shit's crazy.
It's going to turn into a war between Persona and SMT fans alike, more than it already is. And it's just funny to see where, what Atlas is going to do, what approaches they're going to come to when it comes to making more games. Because obviously they have, a recognition now. Like with Persona 5 and Persona 4, people recognize that that's a pretty trademark RPG in this day and age.
Definitely.
But SMT is not.
That's definitely true.
And
I didn't even know that it was connected until, Persona, until I started talking to a huge SMT fan.
And I feel like it could be really good. The only thing about SMT is it's obviously super hard. And it's not for everybody.
That's fine. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is doing very well, and that's a hard game.
Exactly.
And there's definitely a market for difficult games.
I would love to see SMT get the respect and the lore behind it that Persona gets, and just the fan. Of course, there's fandom behind SMT games, probably even more than Persona games, because those guys are the ones who really are into the Persona games, and they're always like, "Well, it's not SMT Nocturne, it's not Rise of Kuzuno, it's not this whatever." So it's like, I get that it's a bridge between series, but I really feel like I want to see something super cool come out with Shin Megami Tensei that's not just DX2. I don't want to play a phone game.
Yeah, no, that's very valid. And since Sega owns Atlas, I thought we should also address some stuff that happened with Sega Fest.
Mm-hmm.
They announced the Sega Mega Drive Genesis system that they previously delayed. They were already working on a version with Games, and they have done plenty of Sega hardware, mini systems with Sega, and a lot of people hate them. The emulation's not good. So Sega heard all this feedback, and then they went back, and now Sega is making it by themselves, is what it sounds like. And from what they showed, everybody was a lot hyper, and the games that they showed, it's releasing with 40. They showed 10, and those 10 that they showed was really good, and it makes me kind of consider buying one.
Well, I think that with Mega Drive and Genesis being in the same collection, I want to see companies, if they're going to do these emulator consoles and try to make money off of it, put time and put good games in it, and just that's pretty much all that matters, is putting good games in it. And obviously people are going to use it for emulation. Of course, they're probably just going to try to stop stuff like that, but either way, you want something like that to be memorable, to have memorable games, and make it so you don't have to actually go out of your way to either emulate and download ROMs or just spend hundreds of dollars on antique games.
Yeah, and just speaking of the emulation, people won't emulate on the system if it can't even emulate its own Sega games well. And from what they showed I don't think they showed too much of the gameplay itself. But since it's Sega doing it, I have a lot more faith, since they're not doing it with Games. The games they showed were hype. There was a Castlevania game. There was Gunstar Heroes, Shining Force, Sonic 2. There was a interesting looking Japanese, I'm guessing a Japanese only game because it doesn't look like it ever came to world release. But I'm pretty hyped for it. They have two. I think they're selling it with 2 packs. One is gonna be around $60 with one controller, and you can get 2 controllers with it for $80 or some more, probably $20 more. And there was also a cartridge slot that was moving, so a lot of people are thinking that they can put their own Sega Genesis games in it. And that would already make it a very good pickup, because then you wouldn't need to buy an old Sega, and it already has connectivity to an HDMI, and you can use it with your standard TV. And if Sega's doing it, it should look a lot better.
Yeah, and if Sega does something like that, if this is still popular, obviously those retro consoles were in a couple of years ago. If this is
They're still going.
if this still is going to be a thing that people are going to be doing, maybe this is a good step that Sega's making, where they take ownership and make the console backwards compatible and make it in a way where you can actually play the hardware that the game was originally supposed to use, and make it more than just an emulation brick, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do with that. And some more news that just came out. The Switch Mini pops up yet again. We've talked about that already on this channel, but this time it's coming with both Switch Mini and Switch Pro. That's the current rumor going around. And
rejoice. Rejoice in
definitely.
times of multiple Switches. And with the way it sounds like they're going to try to wean out the original Switch console, which is kind of cool. having the original Switch and being able to keep that as a relic is going to be really awesome. Depending on how it changed.
What? That came out 2 years ago.
You know how Nintendo is with their handheld upgrades, though.
Yeah, but it's going to be backwards compatible.
Of course.
And then people can finally buy a Switch for a good price if they do phase out the original model. Like, I watched that Spawnwave video, and he talked about it a lot. Shout out Spawnwave for covering this rumor ever since it began. And I think it is kind of a good idea to phase out the original Switch, because if they use a new chip or something to make it stronger, games like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that can have a way better performance that kind of struggled on the base Switch. And other games and then here's another thing that kind of confirms this rumor. Samurai Shodown was rumored to be coming to the Switch on the Pro model.
Oh.
And then Samurai Shodown just recently got announced for the Switch.
Wicked. So
that was okay, that's even more kind of confirmation that this may exist. And Wall Street Journal, Eurogamer, a bunch of YouTube content creators have kept talking about it, and they talked about it so much consistently, and it doesn't seem like anybody's shut them down hard that knows about what's actually Nintendo's doing. It seems like it could really, really exist, and if it does, I'm buying a Pro day one.
Well, I mean, I know you've been looking for a new Switch for a while, just because when it comes to a console like that, it seems like it's good to refurbish and get a new one or get it refreshed every couple of years because of how small it is and just the small fan things like that. I think that the new Switches are going to be super dope. I don't know if I'm going to get a Mini or a Pro, depending on, of course, what they look like. But the Pro
and what they do.
And what they do is important, too. Because if the Pro has, some sort of, feature that makes it easier to, capture gameplay or something like that, or capture it at a better resolution, I would definitely be on something like that. But depending on the Switch Mini and how versatile it is, how small it is, if it's compatible with Bluetooth, Joy-Con still and everything like that, we don't know.
Why can't I use my Bluetooth headphones on this $300 technology?
Well, not even that. You don't even know if original Joy-Cons will work on the Switch Mini. Of course they probably will, but I'm
not getting the Switch Mini. I'm getting the Switch Pro.
Well, yeah, but of course.
But I get you. That it's kind of like a slap in the face to the audience who's bought and collected so many Joy-Cons.
You never know, though. Of course, it's very possible that you would be able to do so, but
and they'll probably connect.
And they probably will, but you never of course, it's a grain of salt with everything, and you never know. But when it comes to Pro Switches, new Mini Switches, the regular Switch, I think it's interesting to note that they're gonna phase out the original Switch model and just have two completely separate ones, which means that they may just keep doing that every couple of years, phasing out Switches and bringing new ones in. And that might be sort of the norm when it comes to the console, kind of like how the 3DS was. But, we'll have to see when it comes to stuff like that. And, with everything that's been going on, with just crazy rumors. You see rumors every day, like the rumor with the PlayStation 5 controller with the screen on it.
That was dumb.
Well, obviously.
Bro, our PlayStation 4 controllers die because of the light on top of it. The battery is Imagine an LED in it.
It's really interesting to think about what next gen console controllers are going to be like. But honestly, if they're going to go all out crazy like that, they definitely, like you said, need to figure out battery life before anything.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I want to see, it would be cool to see either, like, the same controllers. I don't like the Xbox One controller. I really like the Xbox 360 controller.
Okay.
The PlayStation 3 controller was bad, but it wasn't. But the PlayStation 2
I don't agree.
But the PlayStation 2 controller was good.
I think all DualShocks are created equal and great form fitting. And I grew up playing PlayStation more than most systems when I was a little kid. But hey, to each his own. I just think also that, like, I agree with you that we don't always need a new controller with a system, especially because they launch at like 50, 60, 70 bucks. And Joy-Cons $80 for two. Like, do we need to spend that much money when we already have so many working controllers? Like, I have a PlayStation 4 controller. You have two of them that already work just fine. Like, why should we need to get a new one when we get a PS5?
I just need a controller that lasts, honestly. When it comes to my controllers that I've had with PlayStation, it can really be a hit or miss. And normally they'll get worn down from playing first-person games that require you to run with the left stick and just pushing that down very hard. I've gone through like 2 controllers with PlayStation.
But also, those like types of parts are modular, so you could always watch like a teardown video and replace it yourself to save money.
That's true.
That is something to try to do in the future, you know, because one of my Joy-Cons broke because of the same type of thing. Like, the L analog got completely shit from me playing all my games on it, practically. And I'm now going to order the part, like, that's $10 just to switch out the analog that's modular. I've already taken apart Joy-Cons a couple of times, so I don't think it should be that much of an issue.
Definitely. I mean, when you put it that way, the controllers are probably just fine. And honestly, when it comes to those new controllers that they were showing off, I don't need another fucking Wii U. I don't need another console that I can only have one specific controller. What the hell am I supposed to do if, like,
the tablet breaks?
Like, yeah. Like, that ruins the whole Wii U. You can't, like, reconnect a different Wii U tablet. You may be able to. I might be wrong, but either way.
No, I think you can switch out tablets. I think you can, but if you don't have one at the time, you can't really, you know?
I think, like, if you could use multiple Wii U tablets on one Wii U, that would have been dope. That would have been sick.
That would encourage more people to get a Wii U.
That console, I shouldn't even talk about it because it's 2019 and it's literally dust in the wind. But fucking A, man. Like, if they really wanted to make innovative things, they could have done it with the Wii U, but obviously the Switch is better. And obviously there's so many more exciting things that you can do with the Switch, being able to play it wherever you want. But fucking A, man. Fuck the Wii U.
I feel you totally, man. And I just also wanted to talk about the recent... this isn't even a rumor. This is just fact. Monolith Soft requests looking for basically hiring for the next Zelda game.
Yeah.
And they worked on some of Breath of the Wild. And they are the kings of open world games. Monolith Soft does the Xenoblade franchise, and Xenoblade, it may have some rough areas to some, but to most it's never their open world. Their open worlds are so full with enemies, NPCs, items, subquests. It's crazy, like, how much you can spend just going through their beautiful worlds. And this just even more reinforces the rumor that another Zelda's coming. It's been rumored to come in 2020, and we heard right when Breath of the Wild just got finished with its DLC that there may be another Zelda game in that same engine, kind of like a Majora's Mask situation. So that's really cool.
No, I think it's super exciting with everything going on with Zelda in general, man. Like, that game, Breath of the Wild, really put just whatever engine they use, whatever, like, idea and concepts that they provided, whether it be, you know, cooking for eating or, you know, just, like, everything about the game mechanics and just the way the game fluidly feels and the open worldness of the game. It took over where, like, the Bethesda engine was, where people would mod shit in and fuck around.
People are still modding this Zelda.
Spend days in it. Like, it took over. It's like on the same vein as, like, Fallout, Skyrim, GTA 5, all of the games where it's like a sandbox experience where people will just manipulate it to their extent and really push the game's limits. So with that engine, as well as with there's a lot of stuff nowadays. There's a lot of new like engines that are providing a whole new experience, like the Resident Evil engine, like
RE is serious business.
There's so much potential with just developers now, and of course with Google Stadia, that's a whole nother topic when it comes to just like limits and things like that. But either way, it's a really exciting time to see, because I honestly feel like right now we're in an era of rehashing and remasters of old games. But sooner or later, with all of the resources that we've developed for those remastered games, new games will come that are going to be fucking dope. Honestly, the storylines and the concepts that are going to be in those games, I think, are going to be super dope. So seeing a good series like Zelda be given this respect and given multiple people to work on it from the company that we know is going to provide fantastic detail. That's the biggest thing that is. I would say there is detail in Breath of the Wild, but if they had more detail with like NPCs, side quests, things like that, it would have been a crazy big experience.
Okay, no, that's a fair criticism. And I heard you bring up engines like with the RE engine, and I just really wanted to talk quickly about what Nintendo's been doing recently. They just launched their first game, the first party game in Unreal Engine 4. And Yoshi's Crafted World, I put in about an hour. I posted the gameplay of the first 3 levels, 100% walkthrough. So if you get stuck looking for your red coins or sunflowers, check out that video. It can help you out a little bit. That game is really fun and it looks amazing. The effects, Comic will basically break apart a thing that Yoshi needs to do, like getting the train like that we did in the demo. And just how it looks in those little cutscenes is really sick, and it kind of makes you really anxious to see what Nintendo's gonna do in the future with their own first parties.
Everybody, man, and with Unreal acting so unreal, with just everything that they've been going on with, it's like, how can you stop them? They're literally an unstoppable force right now.
Yeah,
with
Epic
the
is crazy.
What they have, so. And nobody, I don't know, of course people are trying to, like we said, ReEngine. There's probably multiple other engines that are getting a lot of love and getting, developing a lot of great games for that are going to try to surpass it. But, man, that engine has been around for so long. And the fact that,
that's true.
The fact that,
yeah, when's Unreal Engine 5 coming?
Exactly.
Nobody's even asked that.
And then when that happens, everyone's going to be trying to, go surpass Unreal Engine 4, and then Unreal Engine 5 is going to come out and it's going to be the same thing over and over again, and then we're not going to be able to play things on Steam anymore.
Yeah, because all those Unreal Engine 5 games are only going to the Epic Store. They're like, no, you guys can play Fortnite. Everybody else can play Fortnite. That's about it.
Literally, Fortnite just becomes like free Wi-Fi. Essentially, it's literally like Google Stadia. You know what I mean? Like that's the free game. That's the basic game. It's like addicting games.
Pretty much. Yeah, Fortnite really does scratch that itch. But
Fortnite is a Flash game. Fortnite Flash.
I'd probably like it more than the original. And speaking of these mega companies in the gaming market, Apple recently announced that they're kind of jumping more into the gaming market with the Apple Arcade.
The Apple Arcade, located in California. I'm just kidding. They had their own big ass arcade, and it was just super futuristic and ridiculous.
I think it could be that. I didn't look too much into it because I don't.
No,
really
it's digital, but I'm just saying that'd be fucking hilarious to see. But yeah, there's I think it was Shantae. They just confirmed that there's gonna be a sequel to Shantae.
Yeah, Shantae 5.
And Shantae 5 is gonna be on the Apple Arcade.
That's funny.
So
also coming to the Switch.
So yeah, I think cool. I got a Mac. Maybe I can play Knights of the Old Republic on an iPhone, since I've had that downloaded on here for a grip now. So you never know.
No, that is true with how they've been streaming stuff on devices. Sony's just recently done that. Microsoft is looking to compete with Google with their Project X Cloud, since Microsoft has its own like servers and networks and tech more so than Sony that just does gaming. Microsoft will be a really good contender for Google and maybe Apple if they try to compete with Google in the future.
Definitely. I would like to see I would like to see companies try to get into gaming however they can, but they got to make content. They can't just rehash the same things that we're always seeing. It's not going to get us anywhere. It's just going to be on multiple platforms, which is nice. Of course, people should be able to play games on any platform they like, but when it comes to just mobile gaming, I'm not the biggest fan of doing such a thing.
No, I agree. Did we have any other topics to go over?
I mean, nothing much else has been going on from my understanding, because we already covered, everything that happened last week with like Stadia and all that kind of jazz.
Persona 5R.
We're just waiting for E3, man. That's all it is. We got to wait for E3 for more stuff.
I think more stuff's going to come way before
No,
E3.
you're very right, especially with the way that E3 went last year and just how everyone was like, yeah, we're not going to be a part of E3 anymore. So, yeah. It's obvious that everyone's going to try to like get all their stuff released or posted out before E3 even starts, and
they kind of have.
And the only people who really haven't, I think, are like Bethesda. I haven't really seen too much from Bethesda recently.
Okay.
But they usually have a pretty big conference though too. And I know that they were talking
No. They just announced Wolfenstein New Blood.
Yep, and that's coming to the Switch.
And that's coming to the Switch.
Yeah.
Done by Panic Button, and they've done amazing work with all their ports.
So, Bethesda gives the Switch love. They also gives VR love. So hopefully they'll put it on crazy spots. Maybe they'll even put it on the Apple Arcade. Fuck.
Maybe.
At this fucking point. At this point, people are gonna start saying stuff's on Stadia too. So this feels like a whole different experience than last year when it comes to gaming.
And just quickly, I just wanted to also say, because it came to my head, PAX has been going on this week. That's why a lot of announcements have been going. Just kind of a little summary from PAX. A lot of these announcements that have just happened this week have been a result that PAX is going on, because that's a huge event. There's been gameplay for a lot of Switch titles that are ports, and people have gotten to see how they perform. Hellblade. That game just it looks really good. I was watching people's like recorded from like camera on the Switch itself gameplay, and it looked really good. I'm excited for that because that's a nice AA game bringing back. Not that every game needs to either be indie or AAA, but there is a nice middle ground, and that will fill that for you. And Mortal Kombat's funny because people aren't allowed to post the Switch gameplay. I saw people, though, that did play it that were there, and they said it was good. Like, one dude posted, like, OG Mortal Kombat, like, 2 footage, and he was like, oh, it runs perfect.
Oh, fucking dead.
Yeah, so PAX has had a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people have been sending out gameplay. Final Fantasy 12 on the Switch. I was watching direct feeds gameplay and like side-by-side comparison between the Switch version and the PS4, and it looked amazing. It looked just as good as the PS4 version, and in some aspects looks like it was loading things faster. And I'm so excited to play that game.
Honestly, I think that everything that's been going on with PAX and those games for the Switch, you're seeing stuff that the Switch, we're seeing stuff that the Switch was made to do, like the limits that the Switch is really breaking, and the fact that it is a handheld console that can do these sort of things. Shouts out Bethesda for always showing off the Switch the best that they can, and when it comes to
There since day one,
and the fact that the Pro is coming out, they're definitely gonna start pushing for bigger games to come on that console, whether it be I don't think it's gonna be any Xbox exclusives. You never know with everything going on with them, but if we did see something crazy like some, I wouldn't say Halo, but like another Xbox IP like Banjo, which is kind of with Nintendo now.
I 100% think a Halo game would come to the Switch.
I think a Gears game would come to the Switch.
Oh,
too.
I know for a fact that Gears game is coming because they announced 3 during E3 last year. That survival tactics game, I could easily see them pushing that little spin-off on the Switch.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's hilarious. Just like
They
Halo
also made a
Wars.
Pops game.
Whoa.
But yeah, that's why people are like, Xbox, what are you doing? But Halo almost came to the DS.
Okay. I could believe, yeah, it just was like a handheld game because there wasn't really anything back then for it to go on. That makes sense. I could definitely see something like that. And with support coming for the Switch, man, if we had some...
And they're buddy.
The best part about Switch ports is just the little pinch of Nintendo that they put in there, too. Like some Mario cosmetic or some bullshit that isn't in the original game. So hopefully we're on the lookout for something like that in Halo. You never know, man.
Yeah, well, this was Kappa Kai.
Diesel D.
And this is the second edition of SRPG Plus Minus podcast. Thank you for checking us out. Until next time, peace.